Hi everybody, Nick McDonald speaking. Thank you for watching ICE commentary for the week of 10th of November 2013, and we're looking here at the US dollar index and currency markets. So looking at my analysis from last week, still considered 81 a level, and we came up and we literally tested it on the nose again, had a bit of a sell-off before breaking up through it. In fact, on Thursday we came up and we completely rejected it, but then Friday we came up through it much more convincingly. And we've now had that close above 81, which is now the breaks up above these previous highs, which has now ended that short-term downtrend that we were in on the daily chart, and now just confirms based on my monthly chart analysis, we've rejected the bottom of that range now, convincingly broken up through last month's highs. And we're now looking for moves back up towards, at least the midpoint, if not the top of this range. Therefore, looking for moves up to, potentially as high as 85. So in the short term, we do now have not so much a daily chart uptrend, but we have a broken daily chart downtrend. So we're certainly no longer downtrending. If we came and looked at this on some lower time frames again, like for example, even here on or let's go for an 8-hour chart, we do have a much more convincing and obvious now higher low followed by breaks up to higher highs, i.e. a much more convincing uptrend. We don't really have that so clearly here on the daily chart, but we do now have they pull back to a higher low and then a break up through this high. So not as obvious, but certainly we've gone from downtrend to far more uptrend than anything else, although it'll be more convincing now when we start to see pullbacks into 8100 and therefore anticipating higher lows at 8100 and looking for bullish moves from 8100 up towards 8200. That's ultimately the kind of thing I'm looking for this week. We just come and have a look at how price behaved around that 8100 level. You can see the first time we came up through it, we smashed through it. Second time we came back, actually found a bit of support there with a rejection of 81 and then broke down through. But notice what happened is here we then came and really started hugging 81. Lots of activity, lots of pushing up against 81, lots of selling before again we finally broke through 81 with some conviction. So there hasn't really been any pullbacks and then retest of 81 like I was anticipating, but certainly I'm looking for these trading opportunities around 81, and that kind of thing potentially gives us those opportunities as well when price consolidates and forms a bit of a flat level before breaking through. This week though I am looking for pullbacks into that 8100 level and looking for any trading opportunities around there on the run towards 82. Trading opportunities don't have to come from 81, so I can be coming and just looking now for it's a little bit messy on these 1 and 2 hour charts right now because we've got some equal highs up there, some potential resistance at 8160, but I'll be looking for opportunities, anything that gives me an opportunity on the run towards 8200 and maybe even beyond, and that can come from any time frame. So both short term and long term now I am bullish on the dollar index, looking for opportunities on both an intraday basis as well as any kind of swing trade basis that can get me into a position and looking to run the dollar index potentially towards the top of the range. I will not, by the way, enter positions now with a target at 85, but I may well enter positions now with a final target at 85. That means I'd be looking to scale out and take profits on the way up, and if a portion of my trade got to 8500 then I'd be very happy, but it's certainly not my one and only target. It's still quite an adventurous move all the way up to 8500, so I'll be looking for that as potentially a longer term play, but I'll be looking for short term moves between these big levels of 81 and 82 right now. But equally, if we break 82 this week, I'll be looking for moves, any reason to be buying above 82 and looking for a move up towards 8300. Just quickly having a look at what happened in some of the cash markets this week and why some of these moves happened. Well, euro dollar was particularly bearish, and euro dollar's really rejected 135 and now even happens to be down below 13400. So that is very bearish for the euro and very bullish for the dollar, and that's actually what's caused most of the moves. We also looked at cable, and you'll see cable hasn't moved that much, so the pound hasn't moved too much against the dollar. We still haven't really rejected the top of that range fully yet, but that just shows me there's a little bit more room here for the US dollar to move. So as the British pound starts to move a bit lower, if the patterns here start to play out, and even this change of trend we're starting to see happening here on the daily chart, as that starts to play out, it shows that the US dollar's just got a bit more room to the upside. And looking at dollar yen, we're seeing pretty much the same thing as cable. We didn't really see any big moves on the yen this week, but it does still look bullish, and it just shows me that the US dollar has still got room to move. We've only just broken up through the last month's highs here on dollar yen, and it just shows it's got a lot more room to go. And last week's moves on the dollar index were largely down to euro dollar, but as dollar yen and the British pound and even things like dollar Swiss, which are starting to look more bullish as well, as NFTs start to play out to the upside, there's just a lot more potential for the dollar index itself to be moving to the upside Therefore, I remain bullish on the daily, weekly, and monthly charts. It's not the greatest of trends, therefore I'm nowhere near as bullish here as I am, say, when I look at the US index markets, which are very bullish and have great trends. This is a range-bound play, but in the short term, the play is to the upside, in my opinion, looking to trade around these major support and resistance levels as the dollar index looks likely to move higher. Hope that helps, ladies and gents. Have a great week's trading. Speak to you on ICE Commentary next week.